Yeah, initially when I started doing my HDR, my high degree research, it'd been a while since I'd been doing any academic reading or academic writing since my undergrad. So, and I'm not really a reader, like I don't really like reading, which is something that an academic shouldn't really, probably shouldn't admit to if I'm trying to come off as an academic, but I'm not a big reader. So when I started doing my master's, of course my supervisor just inundated me with heaps of journal articles that I needed to read to get across the subject areas that I was researching, and it was really daunting for me because I don't know if it's a physical thing or it's just a mental thing, but I just really hate reading. But I like getting the information. So of course I had to tackle all these articles, and first up when I started it was really daunting, and I'd just be forever ploughing through these articles, and it was really tiring, and I kept falling asleep while I'm reading. But I sort of developed a technique to start when I started getting into it, and this is thanks to my supervisor. One of the things that she did recommend I do, which really helped with retention when reading an article, was to have a literature table. So I set up a literature table in Excel, which kept details of all the different articles I was reading, and as I was reading them, and I would make notes whether I finished the article when I was reading it and made notes in the table straight after I'd read it, or as I was going along, depending on how I was reading the article. Yes, so when it comes to actually reading an article, I suppose now because I know my subject area a bit better, it helps, but yeah, of course I would read the abstract first, and if that has keywords in the abstract that relate to what my research is, then I will probably read a bit of the intro, and then I'll skip up across to the findings, because if it's really relevant, then I really want to know what they've found, and if that's really interesting. As I mentioned before, that I keep a literature table. So as I'm going along, I will put all this info in a literature table, because that helps me retain, because through your research, you're forever going back to the various articles that you come across. And sometimes you might want to know about the empirical research that's been done, and so you might want to know how many participants a certain study had, or you might want to know what the gender, you know, if it was all males or it was all females, or their age groups and things like that. So when you first start reading an article, if you can slot all that information into a table, that is really helpful as you're doing your lit review, and as you're just writing things further down the track, and you're trying to collate your articles and look back at like articles and things like that. So as I'm writing, I'm keeping a record of what I'm writing in a literature table. And because when you're doing high degree research, you do a lot of reading, and there's a lot of articles to go through. I've got like about probably 6 or 7 literature tables, all with different themes. So I started off with one big one, but then it became pretty clear that my research there was things to do with, say, masculinity in preventative health, which is what my research is about, and then there might be something about emotions in men and emotions in health, and so so I'd have different tables with different headings. So then when I'm doing my lit review, I print out the spreadsheet because I'm a paper person, and that was just a lot easier with keeping track of what I've been reading. If you're going to QUT, I would recommend, and for some people it's mandatory, that you do the AIRS course, which is Advanced Information Research course that the library does, because that really helps you understand databases, understand the whole process of research. So first of all, I would recommend people do that course, even though at the time when you're signing up and you're doing things, it seems really, do I really have to do this? But I would recommend you do it. So starting out, it really can be really daunting, and so when I started my research, I'd been out of uni for quite a while. I've been working, and I'm coming from a practical area where theory is not such a big deal, and so it can be really daunting to you when you're coming into university and you've come, say, from a practical world where you don't really deal with theory very much. I would say don't be daunted. Everyone feels like that. Yes, it's daunting. There's a lot of knowledge out there. There's not a lot of knowledge to get across, but you will get across it. So if you start categorizing right from the get-go, but based on only just reading stuff that's to do with your research, for instance, it's easy to get distracted and to go onto little tangents and go, oh, that article really looks interesting. I'm like, oh, what's that about? But yeah, there's lots of interesting stuff, but just stay focused on what's relevant to your research, and then you won't feel like you've wasted time after, like spending hours reading an article and thinking, oh, actually that's got nothing to do with what I'm doing, but geez, it was interesting. Yeah, so don't be daunted. There'll always be something thrown up at you, a new angle, I reckon. I'm still I'm still in early days, and I'm still discovering it, that I think I know it all about a certain area, and suddenly there's another new angle, and oh, I didn't, I thought I was new, I thought I was different, but somebody's already thought of that. And so there's always someone's got a different angle, and that's, yeah, you can't be disheartened by that.